Our next speaker is Joubert. He's a director at KPMG in Tax Management Services. And he has areas, he's a subject matter expert in tax governance, tax strategies, and control frameworks. That's a brief introduction for Joubert. I'm going to leave that there and give him a warm welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm very excited to see so many people interested in tax management. And thanks for Alan for the introduction. I think you'll find that it fits nicely into what I have to say to you guys today. I get quite excited about tax management, and they said I must stand still behind this podium here, so I'm going to try to contain myself. We've heard a lot from why tax management is an imperative and not only just a nice to have within your organization. The thing that I find practically at our clients is the question, so how do I deal with this animal? Where do I start? How do I practically implement a tax framework or tax management within my organization? Where do I start? So what I'm going to do is cut through the complexities and give you a conceptual framework of what tax risk management is within your organization and what it should look like. This is by no means exhaustive. So, we always cover ourselves with, the fine printing, the T's and C's below. So this is actually a huge exercise, as Alan has correctly said. I mean, it's not a flick of a switch and then you implement this animal into your organization. It takes time. I'm going to summarize it and make it a lot easier for you. But before we start with tax risk management and a conceptual framework, it is important to understand what is tax management. Now, in my view, and very simplistically, tax management is the proactive management of the tax life cycle. So, what is the tax life cycle? The tax life cycle starts with a transaction. Now, an organization is simply just a lot of thousands and thousands of transactions that happens every day. And a transaction can be anything. It can even be the appointment of a person. That is a transaction. And every transaction that you ever enter into will have some sort of tax consequence. But tax management doesn't start with where you enter into the transaction. It actually starts before that. It starts with when you negotiate. Negotiate your transaction. You have to be at the part of when you start negotiating the contract, right through up until the conclusion of the contract. What happens with the transaction then? Then that transaction is processed into the accounts. And you know what? The consequent direct and indirect tax consequences follows that transaction. It ends up in your financial statements. This is reported to the board and audit committee. And in the end, communicated to the revenue authorities by way of your tax returns. And I'm talking here about income tax returns, but also your VAT returns, your PAYE reconciliations, and all your other returns. The only thing that revenue will see is your returns. They haven't seen how well you've negotiated your transaction. They haven't seen your agreements or anything. It's up to you to make sure that all that is in place, that if revenue ever queries it or asks questions about it, you would be able to prove that to them and show it. But tax management doesn't end there. Once you've submitted, the next thing is there might be audits, there might be queries from revenue, there will be an assessment, you might object to the assessment, and then there's disputes and controversy and all those things that follows. Tax management should be part of every step of the tax life cycle, right through to your final assessment where you are in agreement and revenue is in agreement. Underpinning all of that is technology. Alan has correctly said is that we've moved to a technological age. A lot of stuff is done now by technology and it's more effective and more efficient. Tax management should be part of your technology environment within your organization, the broader technology. And even underpinning that is the business strategies, policies, and processes, of which tax should be integrally part of. Right. So, tax management is the proactive management of our tax life cycle as a business.